A court hearing on the deployment of the National Guard is set to start later this morning.
Anita Blanton live at the federal courthouse downtown. She joins us now. Good morning, Anita.
Good morning to you both. Yes, it will be a big day here at the federal courthouse, and I can tell you that there are barricades all around, even as I came in today. So that is something new that I saw just on my way in. This is the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago versus President Donald Trump and his administration. I can tell you, I looked over the document that was filed on Monday. It's about 70 pages long, 69 to be exact. And even the Secretary of the United States Army is listed as a defendant here. So, of course, from the Trump administration side of things, they feel like if our local administration, our local authorities aren't going to be able to quell the clashes that we've seen, like what we've seen in Broadview, what we even saw here in the city of Chicago over the weekend on the southwest side. Well, they're going to bring in some reinforcements to be able to help the federal agents that are active in this area. But then there's that question of what exactly they can and cannot do. You know, at the beginning of this document, it says that the American people, regardless of where they reside, should not live under the threat of occupation by the United States military, particularly not simply because their city or state leadership has fallen out of a president's favor. To guard against this, foundational principles of American law limit the president's authority to involve the military to domestic affairs. That's just the beginning of the document that was filed in court on Monday. Of course, it goes back to these clashes, though, that we have seen. When you ask the Trump administration, they feel like they're trying to do something about them, and they want on the administration side here in our area, they want this ruling to block the deployment, okay? The state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, to declare the Guard deployment illegal. That is what they're looking for. The conditions have not been met, they feel, even though we've seen some tense clashes, to justify the mobilization. The judge refused to rule immediately on this, but of course, that was on Monday. We have seen a war of words online since then. We saw Governor Abbott in Texas. Remember, these Guard troops that are now being mobilized in our area, there are about 400 of them that are from Texas. There are about 300 of them that are Illinois Guard troops at this point in time. So we have seen Governor Abbott online this week, and he says that he sent them to safeguard U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officers who are in our area. And if you really think about it, Texas Guard has been used in immigration enforcement. It's been a pretty controversial case, but they have been a part of an operation down at the U.S. border with Texas for about the last 4 years. I believe that operation started, Operation Lone Star started in 2021. So that is what Governor Abbott said. Then you move on to President Trump. Yesterday morning, we brought it to you on the air just as soon as he tweeted yesterday morning. He called for Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson to be jailed yesterday morning. In that tweet there, of course, it was a day that there was already some movement in a case with you know, an adversary of his in court, and that being James Comey. So there was a lot of conversation about that particular tweet that went out. But of course, Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson were quick to respond. We saw Governor Pritzker say that he would not back down. That was online as well. Later in the day, he was attending a rally for federal workers, and he went on to go so far as to call the president demented, unhinged. He used very strong words. He used this acronym called TACO, which said Trump always chickens out. And of course, in this type of situation, you've seen the president, you know, there were rumors that he was going to send in the National Guard right before Hispanic Heritage Month, right before Mexican Independence Day weekend. There were events that were canceled. There were events that were postponed. But now we're actually seeing them in our area. Some of that comes after, of course, the immigration raids that we've had and some of the other things that have transpired. Mayor Johnson went maybe even a step further, a very short sentence online that meant a whole lot. He said this is not the first time that Trump has tried to have a black man unjustly arrested. Again, very short sentence, meant a whole lot because, of course, he's referring to the Central Park Five, now known as the Exonerated Five. That is a situation that has gone back decades, back to 1989, where we have seen the president call for these young men to face the death penalty. Of course, they were eventually exonerated. So very short sentence online, but it meant a whole lot. So there's a question of what these Guard troops would do if they're allowed to operate in our area. Would they be maybe holding up the building, holding the line at Broadview, where we have seen Gabriela Primus this morning? Would they be more so maybe patrolling areas like a Navy Pier or just downtown like what we have seen in Washington, D.C.? There's a lot of questions here, but of course the Pritzker and administration and Mayor Johnson would like to see them blocked from being able to move about in our area. We'll see what happens today. We're going to go in the courthouse. We're going to go in the courtroom about 10:30 this morning for the proceedings to begin. As soon as I get some information, I'm going to come down here, be able to report that. We're going to have special coverage beginning in that 11 o'clock hour. We'll be here straight through 1 o'clock, and we'll be online as well. So if you need to move about, we'll have you covered there too, online and on air. Back to you.